So last week I finished my taxes, and the software I use allows me to look at the year's taxes I'm working with compared to the year before. And this is kind of fun because I get to look at my income compared to last year, the taxes I've paid compared to last year, and see, am I better off? Am I worse off? And as college students, I think we're all hoping that someday we'll consistently see better off years. But we live in pretty tough economic times, and I think we've all worried about the prospects the future holds for us after graduation. Our president has predicted that 2014 will be a breakout year for the U.S. economy. And while most experts agree that 2014 will show improvements in our economy, it most likely won't be the breakout year that our president predicts. The economy is very complex, and it has lots of different components such as interest rates, wages, prices, government spending. Today, we're going to look at two components, the gross domestic product and the unemployment rate, to show us that there is in fact hope for the U.S. economy. It just might be a little slower than we had expected. So, thanks to Investopedia and my macroeconomics class from last semester, we're going to look at GDP. It's one of the primary indicators of the health of a country's economy, and it's calculated by adding the total consumption, investment, government spending, and net exports for a company. And it's just a measure of production and growth. And then real gross domestic product is the gross domestic product adjusted for changes in prices. So when economists look at the GDP, they look at the percentage by which the GDP increases or decreases to see how the economy is faring. And the general consensus, according to Investopedia, is that between 2.5% and 3.5% increase in the GDP. After a recession, it's okay to see a 6 or 8% increase, but the general goal is 3% because this is the range with the best benefit. Enough to provide for corporate profit, but not too much so that you get into inflation concerns. So, according to the New York Times, the Congressional Budget Office estimated the GDP for the year of 2013 as 1.9%. And they say that this is about $800 billion less than what our potential would have been. Now, Forbes.com reports that this 1.9% has been the average since about 2000. But you have to remember that in 2009, we had a negative gross domestic product. So the average of 1.9 is taking that into account. So the gross domestic product is increasing. It's just not increasing quite at the rate to pull us completely back to pre-recession levels. So now let's look at the job market, the unemployment rate. The economy is broken into the population is broken into two groups of people. So you have those that are under 16, those that are retired, those that are in the military, and those that are institutionalized and can't work. That is one group, and they're not considered at all in employment rates. The other group is all those people that are able to work. Now that group is called the civilian non-institutional population. And that is broke down into two groups as well. And you have those people that are able to work but are not willing to work for whatever reason. And then you have the other group that is the civilian labor force. And it consists of those people that are employed and those people that are unemployed but are actively seeking employment. And the unemployment rate is calculated by taking those actively seeking employment and dividing them by the entire civilian labor force, which is those that are employed and those that are looking for employment. And so it's important to remember when you're looking at an unemployment rate that those people that are not actively seeking work and not working are not counted in the unemployment rate. So, According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the current unemployment rate is at 6.7%. And it's been a steady decrease since the high of 10% in the middle of the recession in October '09. And the CBO is estimating that full employment, which is the lowest unemployment rate that an economy can sustain, should be about 5.5%. So we're at 6.7, we need to get down to 5.5, but since '09 we've come from 10, so we're doing good on decreasing our unemployment rate, but again, probably not as quickly as we need to get to that pre-2009 level. And Peter Morici is a contributor on FoxNews.com, and he has some staggering statistics about our current job market. He says that 1 in 6 men between age 25 and 54 are unemployed. 1 in 6. He says that decent employment opportunities for prime working age adults have not kept pace with the population growth. And the percentage of Americans from 25 to 54 that has a job is only at 76.5%. He also says that 20 million Americans over 25 are only working part-time, and this is partly due to poor economic conditions. It can also be due to government incentives not to work full-time, and this number may even increase as the Affordable Care Act comes in place and employers are not employing people for more than 30 hours a week. Mr. Morici acknowledged that in March of this year we added 192,000 jobs to our economy. However, he points out that the economy needs to add 340,000 jobs to push the unemployment rate down, but that would need to have a gross domestic product of 4 to 5%. And so the slow growth and slow job creation is keeping the gross domestic product down, which is keeping the unemployment rate down. And you can see that unemployment rate and gross domestic product feed one another. The gross domestic product is fed by consumer spending. Consumers can't spend if they're not working. And so the hope for our economy to recover really lies within the job market. And with focus in that area, creating jobs with great wages, happy prospects for new workers exiting from college, etc., we can have hope for our economy beyond right now and into the future. It'll look bright. So there is a quote I'd like to share with you from Robert McCloskey. He was a child during the Great Depression, grew up during the Great Depression. He said, "It's hard to realize now that it was the end of the Great Depression, you know. All of a sudden, all of this was in front of me and I'm solvent. I'm making some money, I know where my next meal is coming from, and I have a new pair of shoes, and that's it." So whether our escape from the Great Recession is gradual or all of a sudden, the important thing is that we learn the lesson from what our history and our past has shown us so that we can give a bright future to our kids.